And that was mostly from Repeat off their new album, out now, Floral Canyon. Now, a highly anticipated album that we have finally have our hands on to listen to, and like their name states, on repeat. Tonight, I'm so excited because I have the front man on the phone with me. I have Jared on the phone with me. Hello.
Hi, happy to be here. Happy to hear our songs on the radio.
Heck yeah. I'm going to play this, I like your name states, on repeat for you guys. If I have to, just my entire show is just this album. It is so good.
Well, thank you very much. We were really excited about it. We kind of, we waited a few years to put it out because we wanted it to get in front of the right people and, as many faces as possible. And we feel like we were able to put it out the way we wanted to. So we're really happy that it's out in the air and can breathe and people can listen to it now. And it's been a joy. I mean, like the last 2 years we've had these songs done and recorded, and we were just waiting for the right team and waiting for, Kristen, my wife who sings with me, always says, do things that are so cool that people come to you rather than like trying to go to everybody and be like, are we cool or anything like that. And so we just, we had these songs done and we knew them, but nobody else knew them. And so we've been playing shows for the last couple of years, and people are like, we want to hear more deep cuts off the first record. And we're like, I know, but we have these other songs that you haven't heard and you can't buy anywhere. But we really want to play these songs. So it's great that we can finally play them and people will know them.
So you've been playing these songs now for 2 years, basically?
Some of them, yes. Yeah, we want people to be able to listen to our music after they see us play. So it's been more of our first record that we put out independently called Bad Latitude. We played more songs off of that, and then we would slowly sneak in little, songs off the new record.
Yeah.
But, it's hard because if somebody loves that song, they can't buy it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was a balancing act for a while. But, yes, they've been, for the most part, done and recorded and written for almost 2 years.
Wow.
But it's just patience pays off. We knew that we loved these songs and we felt like we had something really neat on our hands, and we didn't want it to just, we didn't want to just put it out ourselves and, put out a tweet like, hey, you can go buy this and, online and that's it. So now that more people have access to it, that was kind of the goal all along.
Well, it's so good, and I'm so happy. Hey, it took you a while, but I think the finished product and what you guys ended with is phenomenal. I mean, to go back to get us where we are now, you released your first album, Bad Latitude. I mean, you were touring like crazy. Your name is gaining attention. When was it during that time period then did you start writing?
Well, it was weird. We had just put out Bad Latitude, and our thought was we would let Bad Latitude kind of breathe for 2 years. And so we were like, let's write and record a new record 8-9 months into Bad Latitude being out, so that'll give us like a year to like get the right team and shop it to labels and try to get the right group of people behind it. Well, we did that. So we put out Bad Latitude, and right away I started writing again, and we went into the studio and we hired some players and got an engineer and flew our producer out. So within 9 months of the first record being out, we were already working on the next record. But then we finished it, and that, took maybe about a year front to back between recording and mixing and all of that stuff. And then it was done, and we shopped it for a year on our own, and we're still a baby band at the time. And, we had a lot of different interests, but we didn't feel like any of them were like our people. And then we almost just were like, you know what, forget about it. We'll just put it out ourselves. Like, this thing needs to be out in the open. And I think it was like 3 weeks before we almost put it out independently, that we met our manager, and his name's Max. He's with Red Light, and he came on board and he was like, wait, hold off. This record's too good to put out by yourself. So let's get it with the right team. So then we're like, okay, we'll trust you. And then next thing you know, we've got Danger Bird on board and a whole group of people, and a bunch of radio stations were interested in it. And it felt like the dream come true. Yeah. But it was just kind of learning patience, really. I think nowadays with everything moves so fast and there's new music all the time, and just so much access to everything, and everyone's just like fighting to be, the new fresh thing.
Yeah.
It can be really like hard to be patient and let things kind of cook a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And let the flavors kind of marinate and things like that, and let the buzz build. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to kind of be calculated and put it out the right way.
Yeah. I asked artists this, and depending on if they're newer artists, if they've been in the music business a while, so I wanted to take your point of view, because you kind of touched on that. Do you think then it's good for bands to keep writing music and releasing music, or just letting, like you said, the music that they have settle and then throw it at their fans to give them?
Yeah, I think, the best example I can give is sometimes it doesn't matter what's in the box. It matters how many people are interested in what's in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the artists that really do it right are good at getting people excited about whatever they're about to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really starts with the artist. Like, for me, I can't put out a song or a record. I can't expect other people to be excited or be into our music if I'm not excited about it, right?
Yeah.
So if I write a song or if I record a track and I'm just really not feeling it, how could I ever expect anybody else to be excited about it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really starts with, once you're excited about it, how do you get other people to be excited about it? If that means you put it out really rapidly and fast, that's great if that works for you. But for us, we wanted to build the buzz, and we wanted people to really be interested in asking about it and create something that people really want to listen to. And, I think that's really the key. I mean, I think it doesn't matter if you do it fast or if you do it slow, but it's how you get people excited about it, right?
Yeah. And hey, bringing that hype and then not letting people down with an awesome record, that's even better. That's beyond the moon.
That helps. That helps for sure. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there are artists, we have friends living in Nashville. We have friends that they'll put sometimes it just happens by accident, and they'll put out a song and it just catches fire, and they're just all this buzz just totally organically. But there's millions of bands in the world, and not every band gets to just have a song accidentally become the next big summer hit.
Yeah.
So, you have to, if you feel in your gut like you have something really special, then you have to find a way to convince other people to feel the way you feel about that as well. And I think that's maybe the difference in the whole rock scene here in town is sometimes it's the cool thing to do to act like whatever, nonchalant about it, but we want to be just as excited as our fans. And so if they're excited about it, we want to be excited about it. We want to share in that with them. And I think that speaks volumes,
Definitely.
It's transparency.
I mean, just talking to you now, I've listened to the album, but I'm more excited listening to you talk about it, and that gets people pumped. That's so cool. I mean, sometimes artists are just yes, this is my album, here you go. And it's well, what, give me more,
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't it kind of, in my mind, I grew up in a very modest home, and my family, for work, is very, my dad worked, my mom stayed at home and raised all the kids, and it was one of those things, you really don't deserve much in life other than just, just a roof over your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just, in my mind, this whole world, this whole music world thing that Kristen and I are in, is just, such a silly world that, you just write songs and then people listen and they like it, and it's just every day that I wake up and there's more people that have listened to our songs and have bought our record and have played our music on the radio, I'm isn't it crazy that I just that we just made this thing out of nothing and we just created a song and people liked it. And so I'm thankful for that every single day. Awesome. And I don't want to ever take that for granted,
That's awesome. I love how humble you are, and I love talking with you so far. But let's get into this thing, because the first time I listened to this album, I didn't even realize I'd been listening to it for 3 hours on repeat, because the beginning and the end kill me. I'm in some type of time warp, and I'm oh my God, when did this happen? Where did that concept come about with this movie thing?
Yes, so we made the record, we sent it and we recorded it, and our producer Gregory Latimer, he did Albert Hammond Jr.'s record from The Stroke.
Yeah.
And he sent us back the mixed tracks, and he added all these organ sounds throughout the album from this 1960s organ. It's called the Optagon organ. It uses these plastic discs, and it has this really warbly '60s kind of drive-in movie sound.
Yeah.
And we loved it, and it's all over the album. It's on a bunch of the tracks. So then each song on the record is like a different story. There's a totally individual story. There's a whole reason behind each song. Like nothing on the record is just a filler. Mm-hmm. It's like each song is something that actually happened in my life or some reason behind it. But we wanted to like tie all those songs together into one cohesive piece. And Kristen found this drive-in movie theater like intermission theme. And it was all these different sounds, and it was all using the Opticon organ. Oh, and we were like, oh, my gosh, this is it. This is what we got to have. So we cut it into pieces and put at the very beginning, you know, like, welcome to the show. But then we put at the end, like, it's now time for intermission. And we wanted it to be something where if you're listening, like, on vinyl or even on CD, that as soon as the record ends, it almost instructs you to play it again.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. So then you put it back on, and it's like, welcome back, you know, and then it's just, you could just play it over and over again. And we wanted to encourage people to not only listen to the record in succession, but to also, like, play it over and over again, right? I mean, that's in our name. So, so that's kind of the whole idea behind it. It was like, okay, this ties it all together. It has the organ that we use in our record, and it just encourages people to, like, you know, listen to it over and over again and, you know, get into it. So
yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so cool how that all just worked together. That's really awesome. So you were saying each song means something. It's part of its own scene. So what was the concept when you started writing that you wanted to display with this album?
Well, I mean, there wasn't like an overarching concept for the whole record, but with the first song, I think one of the first songs we had really written on the record was Mostly. And that was basically a friend that we had, which was funny because Kristen and I, we've been married almost 6 years now, and the first record, Bad Latitude, it's all, the concept is just love. It's like all based on, if you listen to it, it's like, it's kind of starts from when Kristen and I were dating, and it goes through getting engaged, and it's just basically like my love letter to her and I. Yeah. And this record, with Mostly, it's funny because it's about this torn relationship and how when you go through a breakup, it's a lot of times it's rarely ever one person's fault. A lot of times it's both people's faults, and both people have their own hang-ups and baggage. And I wanted to kind of explore that and not be like, this is a breakup song from a guy's perspective or from a girl's perspective, but from, we're both kind of in the wrong on this one.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it has nothing to do with Kristen and I. It's actually from a friend that I watched go through this whole breakup, and how you try to just, you know, you try to, like, blame the other person, but really you have to, like, look at your own self as well. And so that one's always funny to play live because Kristen and I are on stage, like, just singing to each other and in love, but it's like this, you know, mostly we were tragic and everything. So the irony is not lost on me, but
yeah. Well, I'm so glad then we started out with that song here. I mean, actually, when I was looking back, that song was basically released 2 years ago, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because we thought that would be the one that would really catch, and it did well, but we put it out independently in hopes to try to gain, and it did help us get our team on board, but we were thinking, like, maybe this is the one, like, maybe we were trying to figure out, like, what is really our sound and style, and, like, as far as, like, do people like the heavier stuff that we put out, or do they like the softer stuff? Yeah. So we put out Mostly, and then Danger Bird came on, and we let them pick out the next single, and they wanted to do Girlfriend, which we loved that song, but it's, like, totally opposite as far as a theme and as far as, like, even, like, a sound structure than Mostly. And it was kind of like, okay, like, I hope this goes all right. But it ended up going great. I think, like, people really latched onto it.
Agreed. Because, like, they all have their own differences, but they have your sound. Like, it's a repeat sound. You can't find that sound anywhere else. So that's really cool.
You know, I like hearing other people, because Kristen and I are so submerged in it. Yeah. So it's nice hearing from, you know, people like yourself or, like, really anybody what they take from it and what they like about it. Because, you know, when you're in it, you're like kind of all up in your head about it, you know?
Well, you were saying about like having other influences and stuff like that, and your guys are from Nashville. So what music strikes your interest? Like, did you have influences at all when you were writing this album?
Yeah. Well, we have a playlist on our Spotify page that you can go check out. It's all influences that it's like every time a song that we hear, we like fall in love with, we add it to this playlist. It's like 200 songs on it. But it's literally all over the place. It's got everything from the Arctic Monkeys to the Mamas and the Papas to the B-52s to Waylon Jennings to Willie Nelson and to, you know, just like everything in between, Lana Del Rey and just a whole slew of stuff. And I guess as far as influences, what's really important to me is that the song is like, is a strong song. It doesn't really matter like the genre or even the style. You know, if the song is good or is well written, that's something Kristen and I really like. So it could be Run the Jewels song, or it could be, you know, a Waylon Jennings song. But if it's written well, we will really latch on to it. Whether it's the lyrics are really clever or really thought-provoking, or just the structure of the verse, chorus, verse, or whatever is really interesting as well. We want it to be interesting or tell a story or make us feel something. And I think really that's our biggest influence, is just if the song makes us feel something, which is why it's like, you know, it's kind of this like bittersweet thing, because we do have so many influences that it's hard for us to really say to certain people like what our genre is, because we know at the end of the day it's like, you know, kind of rock, indie rock, surf rock, whatever, but we do draw on influences from hip-hop, we do draw on influences from country, we do draw influences from like really polished pop music as well. I think because it just comes down to the song. And I think nowadays with like Spotify and iTunes and everything out there, genre definition has really become like a gray area, because people now, like, especially in Nashville, people love good country music, but they'll also love good hip-hop, they'll also love good pop. I think that's a good thing for the music industry.
Definitely. And you can definitely hear different influences in each of your songs. So that's really cool. Depending on what people like, they might hear something for the first time thinking, oh, okay, like they weren't expecting that, but it all fits so well together. Yeah,
I mean, we get Weezer a lot too, and like I love Weezer, but like when we did Mostly, for instance, we were listening to Arctic Monkeys at the time, and I was really influenced by that song, Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, and I really liked the like groove of that song, and I wanted to try to emulate that. So we did that, and then our producer said at the end, he's like, I want to mix this in a way that Kanye could rap over it. And I thought that was like a really cool thing, because, you know, we're not over here trying to like, you know, be like a hip hop band or anything, but if it's something that he's trying to mix in a way like that, I think that brings a whole new style and sound and, you know, sleekness to the whole thing.
Definitely. And I mean, with now you guys touring so long and planting your feet in new places and meeting new people, how has that helped you with your writing process? For in just general.
Yeah. Well, I will say, like, it gets us out of our bubble.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get to this point where you know, when you're not on the road, we just kind of like hibernate at the house. We have 10 pets, and so we have a pretty full house. Yeah. And we want to just like, you know, after you get back on the road, all you want to do is just kind of lock yourself away and like, you know, recover and all of that. And so we get into this routine where it's like meetings, and you know we go see our vocal coach, and then we'll go do some writing, and then we'll go in the studio and work on some music. And you never really, you know, I wrote Floral Canyon over the course of a year or two, and I had all this time and experience, and at the time we weren't like as busy as a band, so I got to be out and see people and experience kind of like life in different shades. And I think being on the road a lot helps us kind of regain some of that, because if you just kind of get into a routine, I feel like it's hard to write songs that are relatable to people's experience. If our only experience is just like we went to another meeting and we went and did another like radio interview or something, that's a hard thing to like draw from as far as like writing a good song from your own perspective. So we like being on the road because we get to talk to people and spend time with new people in new places. You know, we just did a show in Toronto.
Okay.
And just to be around people like that, you know, different culture and the diversity and being in a different country, we get to experience things that I can draw on for the next record, you know, and see how people live in other areas and experience life through other lenses.
Yeah. Well, you were saying like Bad Latitude's kind of your love story to Kristen. Would you say then this album is more writing on universal topics?
Yeah, I would. I mean, there are still some personal themes, but I think because of that, I was able to, you know, it's like one of those things, Bad Latitude, if you listen to it and you're going through a breakup, it might be a little bit harder to relate to, you know, because it was all about just like falling madly in love with someone. But with this record there, I feel like I was able to hit, each song has different themes, whether it's mostly with like going through a breakup. There's a song on the record, Animal, which is about my father and just having like, you know, a parent that is, that maybe has to grow with you as a kid, and just like going through an experience of like, sometimes when you think your parents they know everything, but you find out that they might be just as messed up as you are. Yeah. And then there's like a song, Speaker Destroyer, which is about growing up. I grew up in a real religious home as well, and just kind of the dichotomy of that, and like growing up and moving out and going out on my own. So I feel like because I drew from lots of different themes and things that I was going through in my own life, I feel like people can relate to it from a lot of different angles. And there's still like, you know, just silly love songs as well. I mean, Girlfriend is basically just, you know, a simple love song, but I wrote it from the perspective of I wanted it to be like the punk rock good guy. Okay. So I noticed there's a lot of songs where the guy is kind of like gurmy and he wants to take the girl home, and there's a lot of songs where like the girl is like, the guy screwed me over, but there's not a lot of songs where the guy's perspective is like, I just want to take really good care of you and be a good boyfriend, and I want you to, you know, I want to be good to you. And I wanted to write that, but I wanted it to really have a punch to it, because it's like, I've always thought you can be punk rock and still like respect a lady. So
like that. I like that.
Yeah, you know, it's like you think of it like it's either get these songs that are like these guys that are kind of like girmy, and you know they're gonna like run off with another woman, or it's like these guys that are just like really soft and they like haven't, you know, they don't really have a lot of like you know, oomph to them. I wanted it to be like the guy on the motorcycle with the leather jacket and the cigarette, but he's also like bringing lunch to his girlfriend.
Yeah, he has like the flowers on the back waiting for you type thing.
Exactly. Like you can still be rock and roll and like take care of your partner, you know?
Nailed it. Yeah. All the guys need to listen to this.
There you go, right? Yeah. No, I think
I love it.
Great. Yeah. So that, you know, I think so even that, just something as simple as just a love song to your girlfriend, I wanted to approach it from a different angle, you know?
Yeah. Well, okay, so all these wonderful songs, they are all categorized under one title, you know, Floral Canyon. What is Floral Canyon?
So that's based off of Laurel Canyon in California, which in the 60s was like this hotbed of musical talent. The Mamas and the Papas came out of there. Frank Zappa came out of there. The Doors came out of there. John Lennon would fly to Laurel Canyon and go see shows at night. All these like huge bands out of the 60s that were big influences on us as well. The Hollies, Neil Young, and all this stuff, right? All these guys were hanging out in Laurel Canyon. A lot of them lived in the same houses. Like Frank Zappa would just have like John Lennon, and he'd be sleeping on the couch next to Alice Cooper and stuff like that. And we were reading this book, Kristen and I, about Laurel Canyon, because 60s culture like really fascinates us.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the book, like the early 60s was all this music, but then towards the end was Laurel Canyon was also where the Manson murders happened. And juxtaposition of like this free love and peace and the hippie movement, and then towards the end of it, just this like weird kind of dark, spooky undertone. It just, I don't know, it's like really fascinating to me.
I'm right there with you. I love that stuff. That's so cool.
Right? Like if it could have been anywhere else in the country where like the Manson stuff happened, but it happened right there where all these like people were just trying to like live together and be free.
Yeah.
And so I leaned over to Kristen and I was like, what if we call our album Floral Canyon, like an homage to that, but also like where we want, because this record we felt like we called it spooky surf pop. And so we were like, what if it's like, you know, we have these really like fun, danceable surf pop songs, but then there's also these kind of like darker undertones, right? Because I feel like life isn't like so black and white. It's not just you're happy or you're sad. There's like all these different emotions like flowing through your, you know, flowing through your fingertips at any given moment. And so we felt like that was like a perfect way to capture the theme of the record, which is like, it can be a song you could dance to, but it could be about having like, you know, a rough relationship with your father. And I was like, I loved the like juxtaposition of that, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's what I'm absolutely love about you guys. Like, it's so in depth. Everything has a meaning. Everything's thought out. I absolutely love it. It's so good.
Well, thank you. I feel like you only really get like one life and one chance to really, you know, do it. So why not do it like, you know, why not have a reason to do it, you know?
Exactly. So, that's so cool. Oh my God. You guys got to check this album out, Floral Canyon. How can they get this album, Jared? How can they pick this up? How can they check you guys out?
Yeah, I think it's at like independent record stores all across the country. I know like Waterloo picked it up in Austin. I know a bunch of record stores here in Nashville, but I think all over the country you can get it physically. You can also get it online at iTunes or listen to it on Spotify. Also, you can order it on our website. If you go to merch, repeatmusic.com, or on our label's website, go to dangerbirdrecords.com and click merch. And we also have some bundles as well. Like you can order the record, and we have like shirts and socks, and we actually made Floral Canyon luggage tags.
Really?
Because of the line, I'll take you to the airport when you go out of town in Girlfriend. And we were like, yeah, you know, you can throw one of those on your partner's luggage and take her or him to the airport. And we thought that was a really funny idea.
Awesome. I need a new luggage tag, so I'm going to go get that.
Yes, please do. Yes, please do. Yeah, it's been so much fun seeing everybody like get into the record, and also seeing which people like which songs. And one of the things that makes us the most happy is that we've heard like each song has been somebody's favorite, and that to us feels like a real success, because if everyone was like, we really like this one song, then we'd be like, well, I hope the other ones aren't bad. But everybody has had a different favorite, and it's made us really happy.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so excited. People, you got to help these guys out. They're so good. They're so good. You got to support them with everything they do. I'm so excited to see, like, what's next. What are you writing next? Are you writing right now?
Yeah, I really don't ever stop. And I'm excited for the next record, because we do, in my opinion, I don't want to do the same record twice. And so we did Floral Canyon very like professionally, and rented a studio and hired an engineer and a producer and did the full shebang. And this time with this record, I want it to be like, I kind of want to lock myself away and just like really just go at it and make something really just crazy and put it out there. And so I'm really excited. We're going to be exploring not just themes with the next record, but also sounds, and like how we can capture different sounds and evolve the like surf rock kind of genre.
Oh, I'm intrigued. That's for sure. I'm so excited. What does the rest of 2017 have to offer from you guys?
Oh, well, we leave next week. We're playing a festival in Shreveport, Louisiana called Music Prize with Royal Blood, and then we are playing a big St. Louis show in December. And we have some tour dates coming up that we'll be announcing in a few weeks. But also, if you're in or around or near the Nashville area at all, towards the end of October, we do a yearly Halloween blowout show in Nashville. It's our yearly thing. It's turned into this big, almost block party, and it's free, and everybody shows up and dressed in costume, and it's just a total blast. And that's kind of our next big thing on the horizon. In a few weeks, we've got that coming up. It's October 28th, and it's in Nashville. You can just go find our tour dates. But if you're around or you want to come out for it, come on out. It's totally free, and it's like the most fun thing to do in town on Halloween weekend. It's also the only free thing to do in town on Halloween weekend.
Oh my God. I went to Nashville back in April, and I wish I would have saved my trip until October now.
Well, it's okay. Now you can come next year.
Exactly.
We do it every single year, and this is our 4th year doing it, and we hope to get to the point where we can turn it into a full-on, like, festival. We want it to be like Voodoo Festival, but in Nashville.
Yeah.
So, so that's our hope, but, so that's kind of next on the horizon, and then just touring. We're looking in the spring and summer next year to be, like, touring a ton. So just follow along with us online. We do have some dates already announced, and we'll be announcing more.
Fantastic. We're so excited to see you guys, especially when you come up here, and what you guys have to offer in the future. Thank you so much, Jared, for talking with me tonight.
It was a pleasure. You had great questions, and it was lovely having a conversation with you, and let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. So we're going to end things with your single Girlfriend. So if you want to introduce this song for us, we'll take a listen.
Yeah. So this is Girlfriend. It's the anthem for the punk rock good guy, and we hope you like it.